I think it's interesting. I have a lot of respect for you, and one of the reasons why I have a lot of respect for you is I feel like now when I, scroll on social media or I turn on the news or I hear someone say something, they blame oh a perspective on homosexuality, transgenderism, abortion, all these things on politics, and they label it politics, and they say politics is a bad thing, but it's really just worldview.
Welcome back, folks, and buckle up. We're diving into a clip today that's going to peel back the layers of something critical: the dangerous trap of flattery. In a world full of likes and virtual signaling, it's easy to get sucked into a false sense of self importance. But what happens when the self importance starts to rot your soul from the inside out? This faith leader is about to drop some truth bombs that will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about building character and integrity. Let's get into it.
At the end of the day, it's really just worldview, right? We're labeling, oh, you don't believe you believe homosexuality is wrong. Oh, you're just political. And I'm like, well, I actually have a worldview, and that worldview is I'm a believer. I
Right.
follow Jesus. And what I respect a lot about you is your worldviews and your politics are founded a lot on your faith. And one of my favorite things I watched, and I loved the clip, was you sat down with Ted Cruz
Yes.
and he was talking about Israel.
Boom. He hits the nail right on the head. This idea that everything we disagree with is just politics is the lamest cop out of the century. It's like saying I don't like your pizza topping choice. It's just politics. No, buddy, it's a worldview. It's your fundamental beliefs, your moral compass, the very operating system of your life. The left loves to weaponize the world political, to shut down any discussion that challenges their dogma. Oh, you believe in traditional values. You believe in family values. You think there are only two genders. That's just political. They shrek at that stuff and they throw away the moral foundations and framework in their fringe ideology. It's absolutely amazing. But here's the kicker: everything in political, when you peel back the layers, your worldview dictates how you approach education, economics, healthcare, even what you consider justice. To pretend otherwise is either naive or disingenuous. It's a tactic to silence dissent by labeling deeply held convictions as mere partisan squabbles, rather than engaging with the actual substance of the belief. Isn't about Republicans versus Democrats. It's about right versus wrong. It's about a fundamental understanding of human nature, human morality, and where we believe truth comes from. For many of us, that truth is rooted in faith, not in the ever shifting sand of cultural trends or political expediencies. So, next time someone tries to dismiss your deeply held beliefs as just politics, remind them that their politics is just their worldview. And frankly, ours has a much better track record.
And, you know, he brought up the passage, I believe it's in Genesis, where it's like, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And I loved how you just went, who is Israel? I loved how you kept asking that. Because I just feel like as believers and even in today's American society, like you said, you're seeing the theology being warped and used and things like that, and people just aren't reading this macro narrative of scripture. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
Well, let me just first address your first point because I think it's so true. We displace a lot of things that are essential in our lives onto politics. Oh, it's a political debate. This is just what I conclude from reading the Bible, but also just from living for 56 years, that we're not really commanded to struggle against other people, or at least primarily. The first struggle is against ourselves.
Mm.
The Lord's Prayer is structured in a way that is not accidental. Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us or trespass against us. It's kind of in that order for a reason. It comes
Yeah.
from Jesus. And my belief, my assumption is that the first thing that we focus on is the log in our own eye. Okay. So questions of abortion, which of course should be illegal, it's murder. Homosexuality, of course, it's horrible for everyone involved. It's not good. It's not
Yeah.
liberation. There's nothing gay about it. It's a tragedy. Sorry. I've seen a lot of it. But I do think we should just always focus on our own shortcomings first.
Yeah.
Because we're commanded to by Jesus, And two, it puts us in the right frame.
Whoa, talk about a mic drop. He pulls absolutely no punches there, does he? Abortion should be illegal. It's murder. Homosexuality is horrible for everyone involved, and it's not liberation. There's nothing gay about it. It's a tragedy. In today's spineless, don't offend anyone culture, those words are practically radioactive. And you know what? Good. Someone needs to say it. This isn't about hate. It's about conviction. It's about speaking uncomfortable truths that our society desperately tried to sweep under the rug of tolerance and progression. When we refuse to call murder what it is, when we pretend that destructive lifestyles are somehow liberating, we're not being compassionate. We're being complicit in a lie. The left constantly tries to frame these issues as matters of personal choice or identity. But for those of us who believe in a higher moral law, certain acts are just flat out wrong, regardless of how society tries to normalize them. It's not gay to live a life riddled with regret and brokenness. And it's certainly not liberation to extinguish a human life in the womb. This speaker isn't trying to win a popularity contest. He's stating a clear, unwavering moral position rooted in his faith. And while the world might scream bigotry, many of us hear a voice of courage and clarity, reminding us that some lines are not meant to be crossed, no matter how much cultural pressure there is to do so. It's a stark reminder that true compassion often means telling people what they need to hear, not just what they want to hear.
I mean, I'm in a lot of political battles like every day, or I'm the subject of political battles. I try not to join too many of them, but and I find myself thinking like, Mark Levin, well, he's a pompous piece of shit. Whatever I think about Mark Levin, which I do think, by the way. And then I need to remind myself that, so am I. So am I. Like, I actually am no better than my persecutors on some most basic level, which is why I'm commanded to pray for them.
Yeah.
Because it puts it all, both of us have fallen short of God, me and Mark Levin.
Yeah.
And neither one of us is going to get into heaven except by the grace of God, period.
Why do you think people are more tolerant of their own sin than other people?
Well, because it's yours. Because it's so much easier to blame other people. Of course. I mean, Jesus addresses this in Matthew and other places at great length and with specificity. And he refers to the Pharisees first and foremost as what? Hypocrites. They're attacking others for doing what they do. I was just reading this morning, actually, and thinking and brooding about it. And so, look, I'm not in charge of the universe. I am not God, which is something that's going to be posted on my refrigerator just to remind me I am not God. So, I don't know how in the end everything shakes out, but I know for a fact the temptation in my life is not to do cocaine or go to hookers or whatever. The temptation is to become puffed up and self-righteous and be filled with hubris and arrogance. Like, I am prone to that, period. I am prone to that. And most successful men are really prone to that. Yeah. So I just want the first battle in my life every day to be against my own bad inclinations.
Can we talk about that? Because I like that. I read this book. I read this book called Tale of Three Kings by this guy named Gene Edwards, and he writes this perspective of like David, Saul, and Absalom. And when he talks about Absalom, he talks about pride and self-righteousness and things like that. And it's interesting that you brought up the thing about not trusting a lot of preachers and pastors. When I became a Christian when I was 17.
You think?
Yeah. And I would be in these areas and these perspectives where I would see these preachers that I had watched, for my private Christian school. I had to watch the sermon and write a paper on it, or people after I became a Christian, I was like, oh, I look up to this person, and I would go serve at a conference or at a church so I could go listen. And I felt like there was a bait and switch, where I was like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was like. You're not what you said up there. Like that hurt me. That makes me feel very like I can't trust anyone, And so as I started like serving and being in the background of these things, kind of looking around, I noticed that a lot of people, particularly in the Christian space, they were surrounding themselves with people that were impressed by them.
Oh,
and so then they just like they couldn't no one could tell them no.
We have a rule in my office: no compliments. So when you do a live show, when you perform, and I think it's true for musicians, anyone who performs, I perform my whole life. So that's what I do. There's this weird, especially if you're successful, if you hit your internal marks, like you say what you plan to say, you say it in a way you're happy with. Boy, you come off of that with this like, here I am, Caesar surveying the kingdom kind of attitude.
Yeah.
And ask anyone who performs. Trust me, this is why no one who tours with a band is faithful, because they come off the set and they're like, "Ladies, I'm here," and I've just seen that so much, and so I have always felt my whole life that flattery is far more insidious and dangerous to the human soul than attacks. Someone will attack me. Imagine being, if you're me. One of the reasons I have this job is because it doesn't bother me. Yeah. What bothers me is you're so great. You're so great. No one's ever been as, you may be the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. And it's like that kind of talk will destroy your soul, Yeah. So we do not allow that. I've never allowed that in my office.
Wow. That's so, who do you have in your life, in your corner, that's close to you that like wounds you with their words?
Oh, no one. But I have a lot of, if you knew how we lived, very, not insular, but just like same people. We have a big family, as I've said a couple of times. My best friends are my college roommates. My brother is my best friend, sitting right there. It's just like I married my high school girlfriend. We've been together 41 years.
Amazing.
Like it's Emily, who's sitting right there on the couch, been with 10 years, like basically living with our family. So it's like, it's a small circle of trusted, wise people. And in general, we have no sharp words. I'm just not into sharp words in the house.
Positive or negative.
I just don't like that. No rudeness. I'm from a culture that really isn't for rudeness, period. In fact, we created politeness, if I can brag. So we don't do that. However, being honest is essential, absolutely essential. And there are a whole bunch of people. Tom Fox is sitting right behind me. I've worked with Tom a long time. Talking about something on the plane, and he's like, "I don't think it's a good idea." And I was like, "You're right." So, I want that. You need that. You have to have that. And by the way, if you can't accept that, you've got the wrong people around you. And it's people you don't trust. And I've never understood why people, especially as they age and the stakes get higher, they surround themselves with all these like random hangers on and all this stuff. It's like, why would you ever do that? Politicians do that. It's bonkers. Hire some money obsessed kid to run your campaign. You think he's not going to share? The whole thing is just bad. So we have a rule in my office. I always want talented people. That's not our top requirement. Well, first of all, I don't want any people. We have the same people. No one ever leaves.
Yeah.
We have the same people. When I got fired from Fox, everyone came. It's just like we're the same world. And I really like that because I don't have any boundaries between work and home. So like, it's all the same to me. It's all kind of an extended family. So it's not, competence, smart people will ultimately figure out the job. It's honesty and decency.
Yeah.
And that would also include like your personal life. Sorry. This is something I've learned the hard way after 25 years, 30 years of working in television. If you've got some freaky personal life, that absolutely affects your integrity. It affects your ability to be honest. It affects my ability to trust you.
Yes, brother, preach. Preach it, man. This is the kind of old school wisdom that has been systematically dismantled in our society, much to our detriment. The idea that your personal life is completely separate from your professional integrity is a fantasy peddled by those who want to live consequence-free. It's a total delusion. Look, if you're a mess in your personal life, like chaotic relationships, you have substance abuse issues, content drama, how in the world do you expect to be a pillar of honesty and reliability in your professional one? It's like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of quicksand. Eventually, it comes tumbling down. We've seen it time and time again with politicians, celebrities, even faith leaders who preach one thing and live another. Their freaky personal lives always catches up with them. And when they do, trust evaporates faster than the water in the desert. This isn't about being judgmental for the sake of it. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of a human being. Your character isn't a switch you can turn on and off. If you're cutting corners, being dishonest, or living a life of moral compromise behind closed doors, those habits will bleed into your public and professional life. It's not my business when your personal chaos makes you untrustworthy. He's absolutely right. You can't have integrity without honesty, and honesty is deeply tied to how you live your life, even when no one's watching. It's a wake up call to everyone who thinks they can justify their moral fallings. Newsflash, you can't. Your soul doesn't have separate departments for work and play. It's one whole person, one whole thing.
This has been demonstrated again and again and again because a lot of people on TV have really freaky personal lives. And I went from being so liberal on that. I've never had a freaky personal life,
Yeah.
but whatever you're doing, it's not my business. That's always been, I'm 56. That's a very American attitude
Yeah.
in my generation. I don't feel that way at all anymore. I don't want that. You're having an orgy at your house, and the weekends can't work for me.
Yeah.
Not because I think you're worse than I am. I don't. As I said, no one is worse than I am. I need Jesus as much as you do. But because this will not result in straightforward, honest behavior.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I'm not guessing about that.
And there you have it, folks. A powerful reminder that true integrity, true faith, and true leadership aren't about being popular or politically correct. They're about having a firm worldview, speaking truth, and living a life that aligns with your convictions, even when it's uncomfortable. This kind of raw, unapologetic honesty is exactly what we need more of in our public discourse. So tell me, if you appreciate these deep dives and want more unvarnished truth, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and join our community. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of this clip and if you agree with his bold statements. Until next time, stay strong, stay principled, and keep fighting the good fight.